Today, my guest is the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris. I really hope I didn't mispronounce the name. I know there's a racist thing going on when you mispronounce someone's name that you've seen a lot in print, but you've never heard the person say their name, actually. So I hope to not step on any of those landmines. This episode,
you had it right. Kamala's right.
This episode brought to you by MyPillow.com. Go to MyPillow.com. Click on any product you want. It's all American made, money back guarantee. It's made here. It's with Mike Lindell's American back guarantee. Most of the stuff in my house is made by MyPillow. It's not just pillows, it's sheets, it's towels, it's doggy beds, it's the slippers. You know what? It's the slippers I'm now wearing. True fact. The name Patrick at the coupon checkout gets you the 66% off. I think it's even higher than that. Patrick Coffin Show discount. So go to MyPillow.com, do your shopping. You're welcome in advance. My name, Patrick, Patrick, is the coupon code to get the discount. We welcome now Vice President Kamala Harris. She is, she started off life as an Indian. She became Black sometime after 2016. She's an attorney. She's been a state senator now. She's allegedly, we'll get into this, the Vice President of the United States. Ms. Harris, Mrs. Emhoff, what's the proper terminology, madam? I don't want to offend you.
President-elect Harris does just fine.
President-elect Harris, okay. When did you become Black, and did you train as a magician, or was this something you were born with, the chameleon ability?
I don't know where, I think it's the maggot movement that started, that racial disparity amongst me and the Indians. But I'll tell you right now, I've always been down. I have always been down. So, I don't know where this came from. My father was down. He was Jamaican, and I always lean more towards my people, especially, in states where the number of minorities are just higher. I relate to them more. That's really what this is all about. It's diversity. You have to know where you stand depending on the time that's already been passaged.
That's significant because it reminds me of the significance of the passage of time. When did you become interested in the philosophy of time? Because you're kind of obsessed with time and saying things a lot in time. Like there's a metaphysical. You're almost at the verge of piercing the time-space continuum with the repetition. It's like a rote methodology that you're imposing on the subliminal aspect of that same metaphysics. You follow?
Yeah, I think so. But here's the thing, right, Patrick? If you think about the continuum transfunctioner, right? And if you think about how important time is in that aspect, then you can understand what the burdening of time really is. So, I don't expect, someone like you to understand, but, that's okay. That's what I'm going to try to do when I come into office. I'm going to educate the masses.
This reminds me of your border policy. It's about as coherent. I'm trying to follow, really appreciate what can be unburdened by what has been.
Well, if you look at my history, right, you would know that I was a prosecutor for quite some time.
I'm sorry. I want to make sure I follow you correct. Prosecutor,
right? I was a prosecutor for quite some time. And, I prosecuted people from the border. To done that. I've prosecuted arms dealers, traffickers. So, when it comes to the border, we don't have to meddle on that. These aren't concepts of a plan. I've done it before.
As a prosecutor,
so, we'll be capable of doing it again.
Sure. Unburdened by what has been.
You're getting it. You're getting it, Patrick.
I start slow and confused, but I appreciate
That's okay.
I appreciate
so does
the light
Joe,
shedding.
but he's gotten here.
So on prosecuting the trafficker, illegal aliens at the border, are you pro or against? Like, what kind of prosecutor did you prosecute? The perpetrators,
no
the victims?
No human being is illegal, Patrick. And I really, really believe that no human being should be should be illegal. And my administration told me that if we tell people that these aren't violent criminals, then they'll believe me, right? So, they're coming in here looking for a better life. They just need some help. So they need pesos. That's why they need money. And we as Americans and you as American citizens, well, you need to foot the bill for that so that they have equal opportunity. If they have equal opportunity as us and we foot the entire bill, then they will become a big benefit to the economy. And it's going to work.
So the pie gets bigger.
Yeah, it's going to work.
I should have began with this, and I want to make sure I get this 100% accurate. Is it Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris? And is the Harris or Harris? Because I know people find it deeply offensive and indeed racist to get it wrong. Can you give us a tutorial on the pronunciation?
I can. That was just, that was a mouthful. I need a second to process that because now you've confused me. I'm trying to think back of when I was named. It's also a good way. My niece taught me a good way to remember it. Right? She wrote comma, so I think of comma, and then all you have to do is just add la. So it's Kamala.
And Harris, not Harris.
No, it's Harris. Yep, through and through.
Okay. And
like harass, but not really.
right.
It's just
I see where you're going with that.
Yes.
Drew Barrymore thought you should be called Mamala. How did that make you feel? Because it seemed to be a very touching moment when you spoke with her on her show.
Well, speaking of harass, she was getting a little too close. So I'm not really concerned with her opinion of what we think. That show was a disaster. I don't know what she was talking about. We don't need a Mamala. We need the National Guard. But we do need a Kamala, right? We do need a Kamala, and we can't have 4 more years of this, right? Just like Tim Waltz said the other day on stage, we can't have 4 more years of this. So, that's why I'll be fixing it on day 1.
Why did you pick Tim Waltz? And has it been successful redefining him or rebranding him as just a normal boomer dad? What's it been like shaping his image for you as a running mate?
Things were running great and strong until all that, all those articles came out about the horse and, the unfortunate incident at the hospital where they had to pump his stomach. But, surrounding that, he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
I thought you were referencing a show in Tijuana, but that's a different incident altogether.
Right, tell me about it after.
Can we play a little pop quiz? It's kind of a word association game, and some of this might be verging into personal territory. I don't want you to be offended, but I think it'd be fun to just hear the Freudian first thing that comes to mind. Can we go through a few words? I'll say a word, and this is unrehearsed. I don't even know what I'm going to say, and then I'd like to get your unfiltered first impression based on word association. Fair enough? Can we go through half a dozen here? Willie Brown.
A favor.
Montel Williams.
Networking.
Planned Parenthood.
In favor of.
DEI.
Stupid.
LGBTQ++. X45.
Confused.
Donald Trump.
Terrifying.
Patrick Coffin.
Amusing.
Doug Emhoff.
Replaceable.
That's good. That was a nice window into your soul. I probably speak for my listeners and viewers that this is all giving me a headache. I'd rather just say goodbye to you, Madam Vice President. Thank you for your service to the country. Best of luck trying to defeat Donald J. Trump and his MAGA movement. I think you're well on the way to biased, staged elections. I mean,
well, listen, enough of you, and I have it in the bag. All right, I've been assured. So, good luck to you and your little show. Take care.
It's medium-sized, madam. I'll have you know. Estee, this has been so fun. Let me, first of all, thanks for agreeing to do this over and over and over and over again. Let me ask you, maybe this is the first question out of the gate, because when I watched you for the first time, I closed my eyes, and it really, just even now listening to you, it's not that you rent it, you sound sort of like her. It's like you own it. Like you were born for this time. Did did the resemblance, especially the cackle, you have every finesse down to an unusual degree. How did you first go, okay, this is something more than my friend, Esther sounds like her? How did you discover this is really something?
I mean, during the time of COVID, when I was bored, and I mean, I said this a few times in different interviews, but it's pretty much just a random person had told me in one of my videos. And for the most part, I did like skits, I did like lip syncing, very few times that I actually use my real voice and speak to people or create content at that time. And one of my followers was like, your real voice, you kind of sound like Kamala Harris here. So I did an attempt of an impression, and that video, just blew up. And then I started just kind of working on it. And for a while, even though like all the, when you're like a content creator, what works and what doesn't work. So I obviously noticed that the Kamala Harris stuff is working for whatever reason. People love it. They want more of it. That's the stuff that like, I would even go back to my other skits from time to time. People would be like, this is great. It's funny, but can we have more Kamala? Can you just like keep doing this, keep sticking with it? And I kind of just tried to get better at it over time, because there's different versions of Kamala. At this point, like I feel like I have a doctorate in this, but there's
like different modes. What do you mean? When she's in a different mood, or when she's from a different audience, putting on a different accent?
No, like so the accents is in and of itself, but she has these moments when she tries to be like inspirational, and she's she's almost joyful, like to the point where she's talking to a kindergarten audience, right?
Right.
Right? Yeah. And then there's the one where she's angry, where she goes a little deeper and starts like, using her hands more. And she goes, how dare they? And she's like, she sounds a little bit like Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
Right.
And
Gravitas. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there's the ones where she's like patronizing as all hell, condescending, but she pretends like it's not, which is like the most obvious evil version of, Kamala Harris, where she goes like, I'm speaking. No, you'll talk when I'm done. And she like tries to like, as if she's putting down a boundary, but really she's just really being rude. And she shows that sometimes, like when people asked her about the border, how many times she goes, are you gonna let me finish? Or she says, we've been to the border, and I don't know why you're asking me that. And she just keeps on going, and she just keeps on deflecting. So it shows her like, so that's irritated Kamala. So there's a lot of different versions, and then, throw in the United Nations versions, and it's like content to go around for everyone.
Yeah. I'm waiting for her to roll out her Canadian accent. That would be good.
I know. I have to work on my accent.
Yeah, process. It's all on the schedule, eh? When you see her on shows, and whether it's in studio, let's say a hip hop kind of culture podcast, or on Drew Barrymore, or sitting down in front of Oprah, there is there seems to be an inability on her part to go off script. Very uncomfortable, just being herself in her own skin, kind of shooting from the hip. The thing that Donald Trump specializes in, going off script, and I've heard Trump in person is really hilarious, like naturally funny. When I watched the debate, do you agree that either things were so scripted, or she was actually literally getting commentary fed to her through an earbud? Because she just sounds like Winston Churchill in that debate, the last one.
Without any real solid proof, I don't want to go on the tirade of the the earpiece. I really don't, because I don't want to be viewed as like, oh, they'll shoot at anything at this point. Yeah, it's possible, and it's definitely not beneath them. I wouldn't put it past them for sure. However, seeing the obvious complicity of both moderators, it's pretty obvious that it's scripted. If she knew the questions in advance, and she knew that they're not going to challenge him, and she knew what to say as a rebuttal, come on, you can be pretty confident. Now, as an impressionist of hers for the past 3.5 years, I can tell you right now, we didn't get a cackling version of Kamala that night. She knew how to goad him. She did this thing that women do. Like sometimes when I'm pissed at my husband, I do it. I know exactly what to say, how to get that freaking, like anger out of him. And when he starts going off, I'm like, oh, there it is. And it's like, it's all women do it. Don't even let any women lie to you. Like they know what the fuck they're doing. Sometimes they know the buttons they need to press. And sometimes it is just to get a reaction out of them because, they pissed you off all day or whatever it is. Kamala, as a prosecutor, knows, at the end of the day, I always tell people, like, listen, a part of this is an act. These little word salad scripts that are really redundant and repetitive are meant to be that way. She's obviously doesn't like expose anything that she can't, she is capable of, because she's not that capable to begin with. So this debate made her look like a rock star. from first glance. But when you actually know the truth and know that what she was spewing was complete utter nonsense, you also then, she loses credibility. But by then I always say, like, the damage is done. The night of the debate, it was basically she won, and that was that. She goaded him. He could have honestly said that, like, people are dying from migrant invasions. No, he came with, they're eating the dogs, which, by the way, you should know that, like, so I'm so tired of terrorizing my husband with Kamala. Like, even he's like already not reacting the way I would like him to react, But since the debate, like, we'll be on the phone and it'll be something unrelated completely. And then in the end, I'm like, oh, did you hear what's going on, by the way? Like, did you see the news today? Like, at the shop. And he's like, no, what happened? What are you talking about? And I'm like, they're eating the dogs. And he's like, I'm so tired of this. And he just, like, hangs up. But that's Trump. And he's yet again to say something so ludicrous, but yet so true, because I've seen reports of these reportings of the animals missing.
Oh, it's happening. No, it's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah. I was glad she doubled down on it, because it's all coming out that this is a forced migration. They do it to
I
small
hope it
towns.
matters, because it's like, it doesn't matter. It's almost like when they say it, like, when you talk to people, there's really no point anymore. Like, anyone that I say, like, no, that was debunked. No. And I'm like, I'm so like, what's the point if you don't get it? Like, if you're not going to open your brain. So sometimes I feel like we're kind of in an echo chamber with other like-minded individuals, because the other side just does not get it. And they look at us the exact same way. I have a coworker that is on the complete opposite sides of me, but we really like and respect each other, as long as we never talk about politics. And she knows that I do this, and we just, we don't discuss it, because we obviously have very different, values, but that's okay. We could still have a very beautiful working relationship without that. We genuinely just don't have to have issues. And before we made that agreement, like, yeah, she told me that, I see you completely the same way. I think you're in a cult. I think that you're insane. I don't think that you think everything is a conspiracy. And I was like, okay, you know what? Fair is fair. I can't argue that, because your perception is different from my perspective. Until next time, Patrick Coffin and his audience, be well.
This is the Patrick Coffin. Muito perfecto. Beautiful. Be a saint. What else is there?